Hey guys, it's Next here, and in today's video, we're going to be setting up World of Warcraft, or WoW, like some people like to call it. Now, the reason I'm making this video was because I saw a Reddit post about someone asking if they could play World of Warcraft on Linux and how to do it. So I was like, well, I should make a tutorial of how to do it on Linux. It seems like there's some people that do want to play it, and it's rather easy to actually set this up, as you only use a particular game launcher to install another game launcher, which would be the battle.net launcher, and then you're able to play World of Warcraft. So let's just get right into the tutorial. So there is two choices, actually three choices that you could use for setting up World of Warcraft on Linux. One is doing through the LUTRIS way. Another one is bottles, which is my preferred way of setting up different game launchers or third-party game launchers. Or the last way is you can add it as a non-Steam game and use Proton, because you can actually do that on Linux. So the first one is LUTRIS, which is a very popular wine Proton game launcher that's able to set up game launchers for you and pull in like your library. So if you log into an account, it can pull in all the games that you have, so you can easily just like start installing them. And on the majority of distros, you can easily just open up your GUI store of the desktop that you're using. For me, I'm using KDE Plasma, so we are going to be opening up the Discover store, and you just want to search for LUTRIS, and I'm going to grab FLATpak version of LUTRIS, not the system version. And if you don't know what FLATpak is, it's basically a type of package that is containerized, which means it has a lot better security, I would say. And that means like security with specific permissions, so it can't see a lot of things that you're running necessarily. It depends on the developer and like what permissions they set for the application, but in most cases, like they can't see, like let's say, other drives that are mounted on your computer unless you give permission. And probably the first thing that we would do is, well, if you, let's say you do have games on like another drive or something, like on an ext or btrfs partition, that would be something that you need to use as a ext4 or btrfs partition on your SSD or hard drive, not a NTFS partition. You can use NTFS on Linux, but it's pretty subpar experience, I would say, not that great compared to ext4 or btrfs. And if you do want to, like, you know, format your drive or move your games over to an ext4 partition or btrfs, you can grab an application like KDE Partition Manager. You should be able to just grab it from Discover, and you can easily just open it and then easily just, like, you know, let's say the /games, we can unmount it, and then we can just simply just do delete, and then we'll be able to create a new partition, and you want to select either ext4 or btrfs. Now I would say you can use ext4. That's probably the most stable way of choosing a partition for your drive. ext4 is supposedly a lot more stable than btrfs, and that's just because ext4 has been used in the Linux space for a lot longer than btrfs has, and btrfs has had a lot of problems in the past that are now fixed, but it's like, you know, ext4 has a lot more development, so I would prefer that you use ext4, but btrfs is perfectly fine. I'm running btrfs on EndeavourOS as the main drive for running the system, and it runs perfectly fine. But back to the FLATpak permission. So if you want to, let's say, add another drive, you want LUTRIS to see your games drive that you have mounted, well, what you can do is you can grab an app like FLATSEAL, which allows you to add permissions to different, or disable permissions on specific FLATpak applications. So after you're done installing it, you open it, you can see all these applications that we have here, and one we're going to look at is LUTRIS. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to our file system, and this is where we can allow, you know, this FLATpak to see other libraries or system files, for example, or even your home folder, which you can see here, it does have access to my home folder. So if you don't want to have this access, you can just untick it, and then it won't have access to your home folder anymore, which I think is pretty cool, and it adds a lot of security in mind with these applications where they can't see specific things of your system. But like I said, if you want to add like another drive or something, like mine is like /games or /extra games, and what I can do is click this little plus folder up here, and we can just do /games, and we can add another one, and I have another one called extra games, and then as we can see, now LUTRIS should be able to see our games and extra games. And to apply these changes, we just restart LUTRIS. So now that those are added, if we set up like any type of game that runs through Proton, then what we can do is we can just like add the, you know, if you have a game on that drive, you can open up the, there's like a wine portal that will open where you can select that drive or game that you have stored on there, or if you want to install a game on that drive, and you can just easily do that. So when it comes to installing World of Warcraft on Linux, that's pretty easy. We just go to this little plus icon here up at the top left, and we just do search the LUTRIS website for installers. So we can either search for battle.net, as usually the patches and stuff are in Proton or WineGE, so you don't really have to install necessarily World of Warcraft as a game. You can actually install just Blizzard or battle.net if you want to, and then you can easily just launch battle.net and then install World of Warcraft in the Blizzard or battle.net application. So if you don't know what's happening right here, it's just grabbing the latest Proton release, which is 8.26, which is the WineGE version actually. So it's WineGE 8.26, and after it grabs this, it may grab the Blizzard launcher easily for you, and then it will just install everything under the wine prefix that it will create. All right, and as you can see here, now it's creating the wine prefix, which is going to be a 64-bit wine prefix, and then now it's installing the specific fonts that are required for the Blizzard application to look normal, similar to how it would look on Windows, and a bunch of other little patches that may be required for some specific other games that you may want to run on the Blizzard application. Alright, and as you can see here, now the battle.net application is actually launched. Now what it actually does say here is do not attempt to log into battle.net. Once battle.net has finished installing and the login window appears, simply close it. You will log in the next time you start the app. So we want to go through here, we want to install the battle.net application. As you can see here, now we'll actually install it. Alright, and as you can see here, the battle.net application has now launched and it's actually showing us to log in. So this is where we would actually just close it, and then it should clean up itself, and it will say, now you're done. So now you can just click close. So we'll just wait for that. There you go. So now the installation is complete. We can click close, and then it will create a Blizzard battle.net shortcut for us where we can just click play. Now I would say this isn't just about World of Warcraft. This can actually be any battle.net game that is in the battle.net application. So if you want to play Overwatch, for example, even though you can play it on Steam, you can also play it on battle.net if you want to through Proton or WineGE that we've got selected here. Or if you want to play, like World of Warcraft. And as we can see here, now the battle.net application is now launched. So we can easily just basically we can play any game. This isn't just about World of Warcraft. You can also play any other game that's in here. Oh, not every other game. I don't think you'll be able to play Modern Warfare or Black Ops because those aren't supported on Proton because of either the anti-cheat, or I think Black Ops Cold War has a weird implementation that the Wine developers haven't figured out yet, or Valve hasn't figured out yet. So your only choices really for playing games is Overwatch, Black Ops 4, you could play that, or like I said, playing World of Warcraft. So this is where, if you already own World of Warcraft, you would just find it in your games here. You can easily just start installing it, and then you can just click play, and you should be able to play it, as I've heard from multiple people. And like I said, you can play any other game. So you could play StarCraft probably as well, as long as the anti-cheat is either supported on Proton, or they don't have an anti-cheat for some reason, then you should be able to play it. Similar to people that want to play Diablo 4, you can easily play Diablo 4 on Linux. It is supported under Proton, so you can use either Proton GE on here or WineGE, which is what we're using right now for the battle.net application. And let's say you do have an issue with battle.net on LUTRIS. Well, what we can do is we can go configure, we can go to runner options, and we can change the wine version. So for me, I'm going to try GE Proton. And if we click play here, it should relaunch. It may not, but it's very likely that it will relaunch. And I'm pretty sure Proton GE does work pretty well outside of Steam, because Proton GE is usually used only on Steam, but now you can actually use Proton GE outside of Steam because of some things that were implemented in the Proton GE version. As we can see here, the battle.net application did launch. So you don't actually really need to use Proton GE. You can just use WineGE, but if you do want to use Proton GE, then I would suggest using the latest one that you have. For me, it does detect my other ones that I have installed. So like I just tried the GE Proton 9-4, and that works perfectly fine. As we can see, it is launched, it is working. Sure, there is a little bit of graphical glitches here, but that's perfectly fine. Those buttons still or work properly. And I would say that's about it for the LUTRIS guide. You can, like I said, you can sign into other stores if you want to, and it will bring in those games that you have, so then you can actually just set them up really easily. One of the other things that we can do in LUTRIS is if we do configure on the Blizzard Battle.net application and we go to the system options, then we can actually configure Mangohud, which is a FPS counter. Now, if you want to get Mangohud on the flatpak version, what you want to do is go to your Discover store and search for Mangohud. You should be able to find it, and you click install, and that should be it. You want to relaunch the application and then check if you can tick this. If you can't, then you're going to have to open up your terminal and you want to do flatpak install Mangohud, and then we want to select the either FlatHub system, or for you it might be FlatHub user, which is perfectly fine. And we want to click, for me it's 1, and then we want to select the latest version of Mangohud, which is 23.08. So then after that's installed, we want to restart the LUTRIS application, and then we can easily just click that tick to use Mangohud. Also, if there's any games that do use easy anti-cheat or battle-like anti-cheat, then you do need to enable these runtimes. Without these runtimes, the games that do have proton enabled or supported won't work properly, so you need these to be enabled. You can also enable FSR for your game. So if you want to use FSR on those games that you are playing without having to enable it in the game, then you can do it from LUTRIS, which I think is pretty cool if you want to do that. But the next one that we'll do is Bottles, which is my preferred way of installing really any game launcher on Linux outside of Steam. And as we can see, we already have a couple of bottles created, one for the EA game launcher, one for the Ubisoft game launcher, and one for the Epic Games launcher. So in a sense, with bottles, is that the name implies that basically you create a bottle for each particular application or software or games that you're using. Which you create a bottle for particular software that's maybe for specific wine Windows software that you use on Windows. You want to test that out. You create your own bottle for that, or you create a bottle for a specific game launcher or a specific game that you want to play that you have stored on your computer. Then what you can do is you can make different bottles for different things. So as you can see here, I have one for EA, one for Ubisoft, and one for Epic Games. Now, when you do first install bottles, which you would just go to the Discover store and search for bottles again, because it's a flatpak application, which is the preferred method. Do not install bottles from a different package. So like if you go and use the AUR version of bottles or the .rpm version of bottles, I would not recommend that, as that is not officially maintained by the bottles developers. I would recommend that you grab the flatpak version of bottles, as that's the intended way of using bottles. And then again, what I said before with the permissions. So if we do go into FLATSEAL again and we go to bottles, we can add other files. So we can do /games and then /extra games for my hard drives or SSDs that I have, and then that will have the permissions set. So then when I want to install a game on the other drives, I can easily do that, and you can actually see those drives and read and write to it properly. So when you do first launch bottles, it will come up with like a welcome thing, and you just want to go through those steps and allow bottles to set itself up. Now after that's done, what we can do here is we can go to preferences and we can go to our runners, and this is similar to LUTRIS with the different wine and proton versions that we have. Now what I would recommend is that you use proton GE, as that's probably the recommended way of doing it now, because wine GE won't be getting updated anymore. So as you can see here, here is GE proton 9-4, and then if you want to create a new bottle, we can go to the top left and click the plus icon, and we can select a different environment, which could either be an application, gaming, or custom. Now what I would select is gaming, so that it installs the correct DLLs for you, the correct fonts for multiple different game launches for you, and we want to name it something. So let's just say test bottle, because I already have my other bottles set up. And then you'll have a nice terminal little thing that we can look at here, where it will show what it's doing to create your bottle. Now when the first time you do run this, it will take a little bit, as it has to download a bunch of required things like DXVK, VKD3D, TV, which are different translation layers on Linux for the games to work properly. So it has to download all that stuff for you and create the wine prefix. So after that's done, so now that our bottle is created, we can go to the setting page. We want to go to our runner. We want to switch this to GE Proton 9-4. And then we can have a look at the other options that are here. So we can do like discrete graphics if we want to, like if you want to use the AMD GPU that I have, which is an RX 6700, then we want to keep this ticked. If you don't want to use your discrete GPU, you can untick it, and then it will use either, I'm guessing, the integrated GPU that would have to be used. And then we can also enable FSR, similar to how we can do it on LUTRIS. And then also, if you want to get Mangohud, then you want to, of course, have Mangohud installed on flatpak, and then the monitor performance needs to be ticked in here. And then probably the other thing is like when we added the drives, like my /games and /extra games, then you want to do manage drives. And this is where you want to add a tick here. And then we want to choose a directory. And this is where we want to choose those drives. So I have /games here and /extra games. So we can select /games. And then when we want to install a game on that drive, let's say on the battle.net launcher. So one of the official ways of installing programs on bottles is through the install programs button. And this will bring up a rather big list of programs that we can install, ranging from game launchers to other different types of launchers, like for example, like FL Studio. If you want to make music, you can install that. But we're going to find the battle.net. So we want to click this button here, and we want to click start installation. And then what it's going to do is install all the required dependencies for battle.net. And then after that's done installing, it's going to create a shortcut and we'll be able to launch it. Now, as we can see, it's doing the installer steps. So it's going to launch the battle.net update agent and then install battle.net for us. Alright, side note, future Linux next here, I would actually prefer that you guys use WineGE 826 because that is actually what works with battle.net. As when I tried to use Proton GE, it threw a error when trying to install battle.net. So go back to your preferences here, want to go to our runners, select WineGE, and we want to install WineGE 826. And then when we go back to our bottle, we want to go to settings, we want to select it and then allow it to swap over to the WineGE version. So as we can see here, the battle.net is installed. Now, I'm not going to sign in because I already showed you guys that you can use battle.net on LUTRIS, so we don't really have to do that, I would say. And as you can see here, that yeah, everything installed properly. We have the right runner running, and if you don't want a bottle anymore, you can just go to the dots up here and click delete bottle, and then we'll delete it easily. And also, let's say you want to run any other type of application that's usually run on Windows. You want to try and see if it works, or you can do run executable, and then we can go to our downloads, and then we can select a .exe that you have downloaded, and so you can just see if it actually does work properly under Wine. So probably one of the last things that we can do is the Steam way of installing battle.net, and this means we have to grab the battle.net.exe from the Blizzard website. So we do battle.net, or no, battle.net launcher, and we want to just download it from here. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to scratch the last one, which is the Steam way of doing it, because for some reason when I go into the Blizzard website and I want to download battle.net for Windows, it won't let me. So if you do have the battle.net.exe available, let's say you have that .exe backed up, or you have like a Windows VM or something, you can, you know, like a Windows computer, and you can easily just grab it. Then what you can do is you can just do, you know, add game, add non-Steam game, and then you just want to click browse and then go to your downloads and then launch the .exe and just go through the steps of setting it up. This is where you would probably have to find that .exe properties on that .exe, and you just want to force compatibility on it. And I would suggest you just use either hopefully Proton GE can work on it. It didn't work on bottles, but it might work on Steam, or you can use Proton 9 or Proton Experimental. And then after that's done being installed, you would have to probably add it again and actually add the official .exe launcher, which means you have to go to the wine prefix that's been created by Steam, and that means you have to go to the Steam folder. So we go to like Steam library, Steam apps, and then you go to compact data, and this is where you have to find the app ID of the game or the game launcher, which is battle.net, and you want to go to properties on whatever game or app or whatever, go to updates, and then find the app ID, go back to the compact data, and you want to find that app ID as a folder. And let's go to this random one here. And we just want to go through like it's a Windows directory. Then we just go to program files x86. And then for this one, we go to Ubisoft and then the Ubisoft game launcher. And then we add the Ubisoft Connect.exe as a non-Steam game. And then that's where you do it again. You would force the compatibility, proton, and then hopefully it launches properly. If it doesn't launch properly, then I'm sorry. I guess it's not going to work on Steam. You're going to have to use bottles or LUTRIS, but I have heard that it does work properly. So if it does work for you, that's awesome. You can now play your games on the battle.net launcher. And that's about it for setting up World of Warcraft, for basically setting up the battle.net launcher on Linux. So if you guys did like this video, you definitely can subscribe to the channel. Also, we're really close to 4K subscribers, which is truly insane. And thank you to my members. I'll show a screenshot up of them. Thank you so much for being a member of this channel. You can become a member if you want to. It's rather cheap. I like to lower the price, but you don't have to. You can just like the video, and if you even just watch the video to the end, I thank you, because it's probably a pretty long video. And that's it for this video, I would say. So I will see you guys in the next video that I create. Peace.